I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 things you might want to know about lightsabers before Star Wars Episode 7. Well, unless you've seen it already.
$25.
The lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi, an elegant weapon of a more civilized age. It can be used to cut through just about anything.
$24.
Although use of the lightsaber is the mark of a Jedi, it is also used by their sworn enemies, the Sith.
$23.
In fact, lightsabers were essentially created by the dark side. The first proto-lightsaber was called a Force Saber, and was essentially dark side energy channeled into a blade via crystals and alchemy. If, say, a Jedi picked up a Force Saber, he or she would run the risk of immediately and unwillingly turning to the dark side simply by using it.
22.
There are 7 forms of lightsaber combat. Shi-Cho, the way of the Sarlacc, Makashi, the way of the Ysalamiri, Soresu, the way of the Mynock, Ataru, the way of the Hawkbat, Xian-Jem-So, the way of the Krayt Dragon, Niman, the way of the Rancor, and Juyo-Va-Apad, the way of the Vornskr.
21.
Each Padawan would travel with their master to the secret Jedi planet of Ilum, where they would gather the crystal for their lightsaber and construct it. The Padawans would put themselves into a tranquil state and use the Force to construct and assemble their lightsabers. This was a difficult task, as Padawans were often plagued with terrible mental visions during the process.
20.
Are you familiar with the term Cho Mai? No? Well, this macabre term stands for the technique of cutting off somebody's hand with a lightsaber. This explains why so many people get their hands cut off in Star Wars films.
19.
When Darth Sidious, or as most people know him, Emperor Palpatine, ruled, he outlawed lightsabers, forbidding wielding them or even possessing them, even if only as a collectible item.
18.
Not all who wielded lightsabers had force powers. Light foils were a variant of the traditional lightsaber that were constructed by non-force sensitive individuals. They were popular duelist weapons used by nobles.
17.
George Lucas originally intended for many of the lower ranks, such as stormtroopers or rebel troops, to have lightsabers. Later on, it was decided that only the Sith and Jedi would possess these weapons to build mystique and reverence for the characters who wielded them.
16.
Shockingly, lightsabers can't cut through everything. There are a few materials that resist lightsaber blades and thus have often been used to make armor. Cortosis, for example, is the most popular, and its original state actually had the ability to make lightsabers that touched it lose power.
15.
Luke's new lightsaber was going to be blue, and was even shown as such in early Return of the Jedi promos, but Lucas made the call to switch it to green solely because the blue blade was more difficult to see during the fight scene above the Sarlacc, as it was getting lost against the blue sky.
14.
Even though lightsabers can be any color, there is only one black-bladed lightsaber known as the Darksaber. It's an ancient weapon the Jedi had that was stolen by the Mandalores way back.
13.
In case you didn't know, Luke's and Darth Vader's lightsabers were made out of camera flashes.
12.
Originally, they used to be called laser swords. Well, not in the Star Wars universe, just in George Lucas's earliest drafts of the Star Wars script. I know, we will all happily agree that lightsaber sounds way better.
11.
The earliest lightsabers, also called proto-sabers, didn't include internal power cells, mainly because they hadn't been invented yet. Proto-sabers had external power sources, meaning the Jedi had to carry around battery packs on their waists or backs.
10.
Ever wanted a Trident-style lightsaber, or a knuckle duster version? Well, now you can own one with the Jedi Master lightsaber toy, which was unveiled as a part of a global unboxing event for Star Wars The Force Awakens. The new Hasbro lightsaber will impress every Star Wars fan with the ability to form over 100 combinations, allowing you to build it in any shape or size. And as if this wasn't enough, it has cracking sound effects too.
9.
One important note about lightsaber wounds is that they rarely bled profusely, even when a limb had been severed, except for the cantina scene in Episode 4. This is because the energy blade cauterized the wound as it passed through, and thus even a severe wound did not tend to bleed heavily.
8.
A lightsaber blade was a massless form that neither radiated heat nor expended energy, other than that emitted as visible light, until it came into contact with something solid. The power of the energy blade was so great that it could cut through almost anything, although the speed with which it cut depended on the density of the object.
7.
The typical lightsaber hilt consisted of a metal cylinder between 24 and 30 centimeters in length. However, the size of individual hilts varied drastically, as the weapon was tailored to the user's specific needs and preferences.
6.
According to the holocrons, the earliest lightsabers were crude devices that utilized an experimental frozen blaster technology to create an energy beam of fixed length.
5.
The lightsaber was also referred to as the laser sword by those who were unfamiliar with it. You know, the non-believers who just watched the films by accident.
4.
Typically, a Jedi's lightsaber blade is colored green or blue. Other colors are rare but possible, most notably seen in Jedi Master Mace Windu's purple blade. Sith uniformly use red-bladed lightsabers, an intense, aggressive color that represents their perspective of the Force.
3.
While most lightsabers have a simple metal hilt with one blade, others can be more complex and feature prominent designs. Darth Maul wielded a deadly double-bladed lightsaber, allowing him to parry easily in his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn.
2.
Pulp magazines from the early 20th century often featured heroes fighting with ray guns alongside swords and medieval armor. These inspired George Lucas when he created the atmosphere of technology plus magic seen in the films.
1.
As far as real lightsabers that work as seen in the films, science says no way. According to engineer Matt Glusenkamp of General Electric, a lightsaber's blade appears to be a form of electrically generated plasma. No battery-sized power source exists that could provide the required amount of electricity. As for lasers, the beams would not stop at the end of the blade, but would continue indefinitely. Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button in the top right corner so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these 2 videos here, or just head to our website at list25.com.